Hey guys, it's Kevin Rain here. I haven't had the honour to meet a lot of you beautiful people at this stage, but hopefully in the near future, or at least a not so distant future, I have the opportunity to be able to meet and connect with each of you on an individual level, as well as collectively, of course. I'm sitting at the moment in a healing room, my healing room actually, that designed when together with my wife Lily, we built this healing centre here, based out in Melton in Victoria, Australia, the Shamanic Rain Healing Centre. Yeah, it's been a long time waiting that I've been meaning to get these DVDs, these YouTube clips together to be able to get information out to each of you and to be able to voice what's in my mind out loud. So as you guys get to watch over and hear this, so too do I, and allow me to continue to learn from myself and from the connection, the beautiful connection I have with the wise being in spirit that I work with. So I've started what we're going to be continuing a series of these YouTube clips, which will be all about enlightening our spiritual path as a powerful individual, a uniquely powerful individual, working in a collective environment in the rest of this world. So we're going to be working over the course of the next couple of months, the next couple of years that I continue to do this. We're going to be working over some pretty contentious or controversial, if I will, topics. Each week those topics will sort of come out, and I'm absolutely open to any topics that you guys would like me to talk about. Please feel free to put your little message down the bottom there in the comment section below, so that way I can have a look at them, as I'm sure any question that just one of you has will answer the question that many more have. Okay, that's not to say for a single moment that I believe I have the answers to all of your questions, not at all. But I do believe that each of us as an individual have all the answers to all our own questions built within the matrix of the energy that we are. The key, I guess, is unlocking our ability to connect with ourselves in a holistic manner, where we're in alignment with the truth of whom we are, which then allows us to collect this information from the Akashic records, from our own selves, from our guides, from all it is, from source energy, the creator, if you will, and make that available for us to be able to utilize inside. So here at the Shamanic Rain Healing Centre, this is what we do. We encourage all those who come and all those who don't to embrace the power of whom they are, to step into the moment, into the only moment that exists, which is right now. Which is exactly what I'm doing here today, stepping into that moment that exists. So I thought, what better way to start an introduction into these YouTube clips that I'll be placing both on our Facebook, which is linked just down there somewhere. So click that button and by all means follow our page, and you can follow and see what it is we do here at the centre. But like I said, it's all about empowering the individual to become all of whom they can become within this lifetime. So today I challenged myself by even doing this video. And I thought, do you know what? What better way to start than tackling the word, the feeling, the expression that a lot of us give towards each other. And I mean the term, the word, if you will, judgment. We all know about it. We all feel it. We're commonly all guilty of judging someone else. And those who generally say they haven't, ought to probably have a bit of a look at their lives, at least as they were growing up, and you'll probably find at one point in time that we have all been guilty of judging. And this is not a bad thing. This is a way of us discovering who it is we are as an individual. So I thought, you know what, we're going to tackle that topic today of judgment. And I'm going to do that knowing that I'm putting myself in a position now, just starting a business, and putting myself in that position where I'm allowing the world to see the truth of who I am and what I feel. I choose not to be able to hold anything back from you. I choose not to be able to put on a facade about who I am. And show you an image that is not the truth of me, the way I see me to be. So I decided again to start these videos today and to tackle this topic, and the judgment that may come of a judgment I certainly at one point in time prevented me, I guess, from being confident enough to get these DVDs, these YouTube clips on the go for you guys. So, so I'm bracing in the face of that judgment today without fear and in full confidence of who I am, in full confidence of a heart that I work out of and the egoless agenda that I have as I walk through society with each and every one of you guys. This is just me. It is who I am. If you don't like me, that's all cool. I appreciate and I accept that. You don't need to, my friend. Like you, these short clips we put together here, they're not designed for you guys to be liking me or for you guys to recognize who I am or really give two toots about what I'm doing. These little clips here are put together so you can understand the truth in whom you are. So you can walk through this life in your own truth, confident, knowing that you're working from your heart center without an ego agenda that needs to be screaming, look at me, look at me. Okay, and that's generally the easiest way to understand what the ego is too, I guess, the I factor of whom we are. Okay? So, your judgment's one of those things in this world there's probably too much of. But in saying that, as long as it's here, there can't be too much of it. So anything we experience in our lifetime, especially this type of lifetime, we experience for a reason. It's not a thorn, it's not a problem, it's not even a challenge. It's an opportunity to look at ourselves as who we are and better that version of ourselves so we can become fully embrace all of whom we are in our process of enlightenment. So I want all you guys to have a bit of a think about what the word judgment means to you, because I'm sure to many of us it means different things. One example of this, I guess, is for myself now. People judge and can judge at all stages who I am, the way I live my life. I am not a person that tends to follow society like a blind sheep. I do not fall victim to the conditioning that's been placed upon all of us. As most of you have experienced or still are experiencing, I certainly have felt victim to that conditioning before. That conditioning that allowed me to separate out from the truth of whom I am and fall, I guess, into the box that society wished to put me in. Society never fit me into that box. It's like putting, a box into a round circle. It doesn't work. And this is just, a representation of who I am and how I walk in this society. So, even little things like law, I'm not particularly interested in it. I don't particularly care what the laws are that society wants me to condone to. What I care for is my own laws, the truth, again, of who I am. So for me, that's very simple. Is the action that I am putting out affecting somebody in a negative way? If the answer to that question is yes, well then I will rethink that action. I'll also consider at that point in time whether it's because of me that that person is being affected in this way. Or is it because of the belief systems that those people have, that they choose to perceive the information and what I follow in a way that doesn't fit in with what they believe. Okay, so I'm all about following the truth of whom I am as long as it doesn't affect in any form of negative way those around me. So, not to abuse, not to discourage someone from becoming whom they are. Not to place judgment upon someone for being and expressing themselves in, at most occasions, the only way they know how. Okay? We take, it's something we've come across since setting up this healing centre that's even worth talking about off the topic of judgment, which I too believe is quite interesting with what I've noticed. I'm no more of a spiritual being, I'll point out, than any of you guys watching this video, than any of these other beautiful human beings in the world. As long as they're here on this earth, as long as they are walking in this physical body, they are as spiritual as I am. The only difference between me and others is what level of which we choose to embrace it, whether we even choose to acknowledge it and utilize that or not. That is the difference right now. But since starting up this healing center and really delving into this spiritual world and connecting with the beautiful beings that we've been lucky enough to connect with, we have noticed a few different things, which I guess have not rang alarm bells, but have certainly raised awareness to me of topics that we need to work through as a society, and find a way to be better than, not equal to. Because when we try to be equal to a low vibration state, what we recognize in that state is that there is no answers there. Okay? I guess the easiest way to say this is that the vibration in which our problem or challenge arises, the answer is always at a higher vibration than that challenge. Okay? So we raise our vibration in order to change our perception of the circumstances we are in. And we all have the ability to do this. So since stepping into this beautiful world of spiritual beings and the people we're lucky enough to meet, we've noticed, very unfortunately, that a large part of the healers at the moment that are working within these areas are working out of some form of ego agenda. Okay, and that's not to have a dig in any way, shape or form at any of these healers. And this is what I explain to every person I meet. We meet a lot of beautiful people, and a lot of beautiful people that come our way are quite open to talk to us and allow us to understand the experiences that they've had before they've come to us too. And one of those things, again, that we repetitively hear, if it's about someone teaching someone else a new skill set, or how to be in a class, whether it be a meditation class, a spiritual development class, a Reiki practitioner class, a healing class, any of these things, it's come aware through interaction with some of these other beautiful souls that when people are going to learn these things, they feel inadequate to the person that they're learning them from. It's been explained to me that they feel that the person teaching them how to better themselves is actually coming from a point of view where they believe they're better than that person they're working with. Okay? And that can actually upset a lot of people. And for all those healers out there that are watching this, I'd like you to take keen note on that, because these people, they're coming to you with utmost respect of whom you are and what you've achieved. But they understand, like I do here today, just because as a healer or as a spiritualist, as whatever we may be, we may know knowledge that someone else may not know, doesn't mean that we are in any way, shape or form better than what they are. We are equals and we always will be. Okay, it doesn't matter how much further your clairvoyance may be developed than what mine is. It doesn't matter how much better of a healer you may be than what I am or what that other person is. This is not competition. This is embracing the truth of whom we are in order to own it and allow it to flow through ourselves, through our being in a way that can affect the energy of all the people around us in a positive way. Okay? So the message for all those healers out there, that when they watch this, they will understand whom they are. And I'll let you know, not only do I not judge you for the actions that you have put out that have upset or done harm to the services you provide, not only do I not teach the people that come and wish to choose to work with me, that they should also not judge these people. We understand that each of us uniquely has our own journey. What makes us all the same is the very fact that we're uniquely different. We have an individuality that is like no other. And that very individual nature is what binds us together as one. It's actually what makes that gay person over there exactly the same as me. It's what makes that Indian lady over there exactly the same as me. It's what makes that mentally ill person over there or there just like me. The very fact that we can individually express and go about living in this society in a way we can experience it the way in which we choose. That is the empowering part that connects us all back to the same source, all back to the same level, all back to the same self-worth between us. So those who are teaching at the moment and are teaching from a place where they feel that they may be a step ahead of where those others are, I ask you, please just reconsider the way in which you're working at the moment. When we work from a personal ego agenda, we sacrifice our own ability. We sacrifice all of which we could achieve if we worked out of a higher vibratory state. We gain nothing, and all those we were trying to stay ahead of will inevitably catch up and in your own eyes take over the situation where you're at, the position, the level of enlightenment that you may feel you have. You will then begin to feel those around you have more. And the very fact that you can now feel that someone else has more is a perfect representation that you once thought that you were not equal and you were superior to them. Okay, we are all equal. It doesn't matter what our gifts are and how we use them. What matters is how we utilize ourselves as a human being in this lifetime to accept the indifferences, to accept the reality of whom we choose to be and embrace that. And embrace that from a place of light and a place of love. I ask all those people that go to these places where they've experienced this and where they've felt inadequate to the teacher that they're standing in front of. Please, guys, do not judge those people for expressing themselves the best way they knew at the time. Okay? This is a process of learning. This is what spirituality is. Learning to understand the truth of whom we are. So do not judge those in front of you that believe that they may have more worth than what you do. Just understand that in their own way, they are going through their own lessons to enlighten themselves to becoming the beautiful soul and engaging in the beautiful soul that they are. And they are already, I shall point out. We have an opportunity in this world at the moment, a great opportunity. It's a beautiful world. Myself, I'm almost bursting at the seams with passion, with belief, with faith of how this world is changing right now, of all the goodness pouring out of the hearts of each and every one of us. Whether we be on the street or in a $100,000 a year job, $1 million a year job, I personally am I am feeling the energetic shift in each one of these souls, each one of these beautiful souls that I get to meet. Hence wanting to come today to talk about this term judgment. I guess to understand judgment, we should first understand what it means to judge someone, I guess. And what does it mean to judge someone? Well, I guess it's a pretty confusing topic for some. What's a judgment? What's intuition? And what's observation? Three very different things, yet all could be perceived as the same. Okay? So first up, we'll start with observation. I've spoken to a lot of people that will observe either a certain behavior, a certain action out of somebody. And they'll come to me and they'll say, I've seen this person do something and what they did wasn't right, but who am I to judge them? Okay. Now first, I ask you, was that a judgment? Okay. When observing the action of someone in front of you that's putting that out, it's not actually a judgment for us to perceive and interpret their actions in the way we do. Okay? It is definitely an observation when we recognize that through our vision, through our senses, we watch and learn about the people around us. And some people around us behave in a way that's not appropriate. For other people, not appropriate in terms of growing a positive society. Okay, so the first thing I want you to acknowledge is that when we observe these things, that's not judgment. That's an observation. Be clear on this. Okay, that doesn't then give you the right to turn your observation into a judgment and start guessing at the reasons why and how and going into areas you do not know, because that would take us into what we know as judgment. Okay, and judgment, on the other hand, is our ability to perceive without even knowing what someone may be experiencing or an action that someone is presenting without actually having any idea as to why it is they're doing that. Okay, so very similar to observation. Okay, with observation on one hand, you can have someone put out an action where they've been very offensive to the person beside you, and you can say, well, that person has just been an ass. Okay, and that's working from it, not that you should call someone an ass, I shall point out. That's working from an observational point of view and recognizing that what you've seen is how in which you're now experiencing it. Okay, judgment, on the other hand, is when you see someone put out an action and you're not aware of what that action is or why that action's there, or even better way of explaining this, I think, is when we see someone walking down the street and we look at that person and we say, oh God, they're fat. Oh God, they're ugly. Okay, judgment. Now one would ask here, and quite rightfully, is that not an observation? Well, we've seen that person and they were overweight. Therefore, do we not then have the right to state that they were fat? No. In actual fact, we don't. Okay? The first thing we want to understand about judgment is that we don't feel an urge to judge someone else unless we feel an inadequacy inside a self. Okay? So if you find yourself walking down the street and you walk past a fat person and you say, oh, geez, they're fat, I challenge you. I absolutely challenge you. Ask yourself, why is it that that part of your mind, your ego, if you will, created the judgment that that person is overweight in the first place? And this is the key to judgment. When we choose to judge something in someone else, we choose to protect a part of self that is vulnerable. Okay? An example of this is quite simple. It's easy for someone who feels worthless, who can't engage in the strength of whom they are, to walk across the street and say, oh, that person there looks fat and they're ugly, and walk off with their chest held high in the air because they are not. Okay? This isn't actually an accurate representation of how this one person thought about that other person that they were judging. No, it's not at all. What it is a representation of how that person feels inadequate inside a self, and how them working alongside their ego, the egocentric part of self, is working to create a rebalance within someone, to create their self-worth so they know who they are without needing to judge someone present to them. Okay, and it's very important you understand that, because when we find ourselves in a position of judgment, we really need to ask ourselves why. Okay, I've certainly been guilty of this in the past myself upon my journey of growing into the spiritual being that I'm embracing still in this life now, and embracing more every day. And I guess an example of myself at a young age, I was a bit different to everybody else, certainly perceived as different, and certainly not that good looking as a young child. Wherever I am now, well, you know what? I'm happy with who I am and how I look. But the way you choose to perceive me, well, that's actually your perception. And I'm actually fine with that because I'm happy with whom I am. But years ago, I was not. Okay, in a conditioned state that society, that I allowed myself to succumb to in society, I would then see someone that was may have been very ugly or this or that, and I would say, geez, they look weird. And it took me years to figure out why it was I was doing that. And what I was doing was putting the image of what I felt about myself out there onto somebody else, out onto what was most probably one of the most beautiful people that I could have ever met. But instead of creating the opportunity to meet them, I missed out because what I did was judge. Yeah. But judgment is one of those things we need to forgive ourselves for. As today, sitting here today on in this little video clip, I forgive myself for. Okay? I am completely at ease with the actions that I put out. The only thing that exists in this reality is this moment. It is right now. It is all that we have in this moment. So the past is nothing more than a memory that we have in our mind, and something, if we choose, we can draw upon in order to, for some, punish ourselves in a pain that we choose to experience, for others to grow into an enlightened being based upon the experiences that have come before. Okay, so I used the opportunity where I judged people to understand that part of self, to understand why I felt the need, I felt inadequate, why I felt like I had no self-worth and needed and required judging someone else in order to make me feel better about that which I was experiencing. And through that process I learn. I come to understand myself. I come to understand my needs. I come to understand how my experience today in society allowed me to feel inadequate. And I blame no one else for this. It's not society and it's not the condition that happens around me or any one of us. It's the way we choose as a human being in complete control of our own mind and our own heart. The way we choose to take upon the lessons that are given to us. And as a young child, I didn't do a very great job of that. But due to that, it created an opportunity where I then got to learn the truth of who I am. I then got to see the truth of who I am. And that created an opportunity where now I can actually sit here in front of this clip and express to you guys how important it is to understand what the term judgment means. What it means when we give judgment to those around us. Okay? So for all those out there, people please, that have had judgment come in from somebody else, have experienced what it's like to be judged in whom we are. I ask you, not for me, but for you, to consider doing one thing. Forgiveness. Give forgiveness to those who have judged you before, to those that did not know what they were doing, and even those that perceived to know. Give them forgiveness, because they themselves are suffering in the same worth issues that you most likely are if you have been affected by this judgment. Okay, they have made a mistake where they're hitting out against something that has hurt them so much in the past they didn't know how to experience it. So the first way to create change in oneself is to give forgiveness. So that way, as a being, we can then find it easier to forgive ourselves, which through my own personal experience I found is one of the hardest things to do. Forgive yourself. Okay, it took me a long time to be able to do this. But in doing so, what it then does is give yourself a place of peace, a place where you can choose to grow your enlightenment, where you can choose to become a being that can share the love and light within you. The love, light and dark, I should say, that's within you. All forces of nature, all forces of life are part of whom you are. It's about embracing the difference of whom we are and accepting the reality of whom we choose to be. Okay, and not only us, but even bigger, accepting the reality of what everyone else chooses to be in this given moment, in this given point of time. Okay, because they are living their truth. They are living the truth that they are aware of right now. Okay, and it doesn't make their truth wrong. It doesn't make your truth more right than theirs. It simply means that they are a different being to you and that right now in their reality, in their universe, their truth doesn't align with what yours does. One day it may, one day it may not. We're not sitting here, and I'm certainly not sitting here today as a being trying to get all you guys to believe what it is I have to say, to all follow the way in which I choose to live my life. No. This life, the way I live it, this works for me. This works for who I am. The truth that I live by is the truth that works to empower myself, to empower my heart to love like I've never loved before, unconditionally. And I tell you guys, when you look at yourself as you judge someone else and you take the opportunity to free up and understand whom you are, you unlock an area of your heart that a lot of human beings on this earth at this stage have not managed to unlock, to feel. And that is that part of unconditional love. And many out there will probably go, what? I know what that is. I know unconditional love. I can give that. I give that to my daughter. I give that to my mother. I give that to my sister. Okay? But I ask you guys, and not all of you, but you know who you are when I ask this question. Do you unconditionally love yourself like you do those around you? Because for most, that answer is no. And I also ask you, if you cannot unconditionally love yourself, how is it that you can actually claim to unconditionally love anybody? If you cannot feel that feeling inside yourself, how do you know what that feeling is to give? Okay? So this world, this isn't about looking at what people do wrong or what people do different. It's about looking at what we as an individual can do to change who we are, to come in alignment with the spirituality, with the love, with the truth of who we are as an individual. And as an individual engaging in our truth, the one thing I can assure you then, when we are looking at the truth of whom we are, collectively, our truth is much the same. The way we choose to express it and live within it is the difference. Okay? This is only my first clip into many more to come. So I won't hold you much longer. I felt this would be a 5-minute clip and already I've ticked to half an hour. I appreciate the journey of all yous that have come with me this evening and all yous that will continue to follow these videos. And I ask you for your support. I ask you to click the like button. I ask you to be a part of my personal journey, of my personal growth into even more of whom I am. I ask you to share your journey of love, your journey of light, enlightenment, your journey to your truth with myself and with all the beautiful beings around you. So together we can understand, together we can grow into the beautiful nature that we are here on human beings. And once more together become the first race in this entire universe to know what it truly feels like to love oneself. And to love oneself is a powerful state of being to be within. If you guys ever feel like there's a topic, of course, that you would like me to go over and tackle, I certainly do not have the answer to everything. I have the answer to all of my own world within me. I do not necessarily have the answer to yours, but as long as your truth is in part of all that is, I guess on one level I do. But it is not just me. It is these beautiful guides, Droden, Kuma, Chief White Eagle, Christatus, and I could keep going, that work alongside me, that help enlighten me to present myself to society, to humanity in a way that best aligns with the truth and the love of whom I am and the genuine nature of whom I am, which it gives me the strength to sit here in front of this clip today and face the judgment that can potentially come my way, especially as we move forward and I tackle some of the topics that are coming up that are going to create a lot of disagreement in a lot of people. Actually, I'm just going to withdraw that statement. I'm not going to lock in that something needs to be perceived or experienced in a way. So how I'll then say that is, as I bring up a lot of topics that are going to be hard hit for some people, are going to really hit some nervous points for others, and some anxiety for some, and some may retaliate in a way where they do not agree with who I am, and that is okay, my friends. I am not here to tell you that you must agree with who I am, but I am here to ask you to allow me in this world and to allow all other human beings in this world to live their truth, to embrace whom they are without forcing your truth upon them. I'm Kevin Rain. It has been a pleasure here at the Shamanic Rain Healing Centre today to gift you and me this experience together. We'll be back again soon. I thank all the wise and beautiful spirits that help me upon my journey and embrace all of whom I am. I thank me for allowing myself to see the beauty of who I am and engage in it, in my truth,